People have a way of being peoply, myself included. And as we go through motherhood, they can become even more peoply and turn up the heat on you without regard for how what they expect from and of you will affect your day-to-day and how you raise your children. Girl, this is your mind. Those are your children. And despite the fact that we all have some level of expectations, both unrealistic and not, carrying other folks' uninvited stuff into your motherhood is not what's hot. Welcome, mom friends, to the Real Motherhood with Jacque Jackson. Let's get into it. It's not enough that we have our own personal and intimate expectations for ourselves, but then we have to maneuver around what other people are expecting from us or expecting us to be. Let's call these external expectations. This is a huge weight that kicks motherhood up a few notches for me personally. And since I have started this series on expectations, my mind has been in overdrive, collecting all of the tiny details of my day that register as an external expectation. And I gotta tell you, it feels very exhausting and truthfully, it's quite triggering. Before now, I obviously experienced external expectations, and I know that I will continue to in the future, and so will you. But suddenly, it feels more to me like when you buy a new red truck. Then all of a sudden, you start to see that same red truck everywhere. Like buying the truck somehow miraculously set off this very quiet, ginormous fleet of cars. I turned left, and there was a not so subtle comment about my succeeding and failing and succeeding again, to do things differently or better as a mom. Or you can really insert your own critique or change in that space. But essentially, external expectations point fingers, as if to shame me into repeating the cycle. Like doing everything the same way because we turned out fine is the highest bar. Like you're doing too much by deciding what type of human being, woman, and mother you want to be. Like taking a narrow path with far less people on it is super crazy. Like not doing it like this is a personal offense. If you've got ears, you've heard about not reinventing the wheel, but in the world I want to live in, I strongly believe many wheels in both the world of motherhood and just the world in general need to be reinvented. A right turn drums up stairs, upturned noses, tensions, and sometimes confrontation when I personally lift my voice to advocate for the little girl in me who is now the mother. There is a thought I want to share with you that has been pressing itself into my mind for a while now, and it's probably not going to be what everyone wants to hear, but are you ready for this? Your expectations of me are none of my business now. If you're anything like me, repeat this with me out loud as I say it again. Your expectations of me are none of my business now. Now, I know a lot of my mom friends out there know exactly what I mean, and what it boils down to is sometimes the person other folks knew you to be in your childhood, your teenage years, the young adult years, and so on, depending on what age you are now, that person can't escape the grips of generational expectations, and the stuff starts to seep into your motherhood journey. People often can't see how their own expectations, insecurities, and the external expectations placed onto them bleed onto you, and way too often without solicitation. And then, if you're brave enough to reject it or take a stand, you're wrong. There's an expectation that they are entitled to now limit you because there is a familiarity to you. It could be friends, families, spouses, people with kids, people without kids, folks who have gone through all the seasons of parenting and now have adult children or grandchildren and seem to have somehow forgotten the space you were in as a new or young mom. I mean, really, you name it. It's coming in hot from all sides, right? This is where I would insert my eye roll emoji. Now, I know I may have hit a few chords and plucked a number of strings, but I want to give all my mom friends a bit of the juice I'm now drinking. It's okay to live outside of what they expect of you and what they expect from you. As I said before, that right there is none of your business. It may be uncomfortable and super duper hard, but the sooner we take inventory of what we can and cannot control, the better we are able to manage the weights of the stress that come with the barrage of you shoulds and why don't yous and I never dids or in my days. For anyone listening that has a tendency to reach without considering, external expectations for those of us that are working to build up the muscle to block you out tangle us up into a nice web of frustration and move us off track from our own intuition. The risk to our families is high when you meddle. And don't forget, your eyes deliver expectations too. Now, I'm going to speak for myself here and say that what I need in place of your expectations, whether verbal or not, is support. Work with me in the direction I'm going, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable, or keep quiet and or step to the side. I'm going to say something to you, which is what I actually say to my kids all the time. And this I feel like this fits everything and everybody. I ask them, is what you're about to say or do, is it loving? Is it kind? Is it helpful? If it's none of those things, then your expectation is getting in the way. If I was a betting woman, I would put all my money on the fact that whatever you are supposing we should or shouldn't be doing, we've already lost sleep over it and are clawing our ways through it. My dear mom friends who are working on your personal expectations and at the same time fighting off the externals, remember this. You aren't crazy. You're brave. It's okay to speak up and make yourself a new will. I'm doing it right alongside you. And then let other people know that their will doesn't fit your tricycle and you've got a long drive ahead of you. Thank you so much for hanging with me on The Real Motherhood with Jacque Jackson. I can talk for hours about expectations, but I'll save some for part 3. Go ahead and follow the show if you haven't already so you know when the next episode rolls out. If you have something to add or want to chat with all the mom friends like you, join the Real Motherhood Podcast Lounge by visiting the website at therealmotherhoodpodcast.com and following the link at the bottom of the homepage. See you there.